Hi, it's Hope and welcome to the video. This is going to be 21 books I want to read in 2021. So for these 21 books, these are just 21 books slash series that I would like to read in 2021. When I say the first book in a series, I mean I'd like to read as much of that series as possible, or finish the series. All of these but one are the first in a series or are a standalone. So I will just say the book and then what I know, and that's it. Because I don't want to spend too much time talking about them. A lot of these I don't know a lot about. A lot of these I know very little about, but I've just heard great things. All of these books came out in 2020 or earlier, so there's no 2021 releases, because I will be doing each month books that I'm anticipating to read that month. So let's get started. The first book that I'd like to read in sometime in 2021 is Winter by Audrey Gray, and this is a we follow a girl who's a human who, for some reason that I don't know, has to either finds out that she's a fae and attends a fae university, or is human and has to attend a fae university. I'm not sure, but I've heard great things. I think there's going to be 4 books in the series in total, and I think 2 of them are released, and then maybe the 3rd one comes out in 2021. I'm not sure. I know that the first 2 books are released, but yeah. This is the book that I was saying is the only book that's not first in the series, and that is the Alcazar by Amy Ewing, which is the sequel to the Cerulean, which I read in November. The Cerulean follows a girl named Sarah who is a Cerulean who lives in the city above the sky, and there's a tether that tethers the city to a planet, and when that tether has to be broke, Sarah is sent as a sacrifice to break that tether, but she ends up surviving, and we go from there. I'm really excited to see where this second and final book, because it's a duology, ends. Next we have A Song of Wraiths and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown, and when I say I know nothing about this, I mean literally I know nothing, except I believe it has enemies to lovers, and there's ending up needing to be a sacrifice to bring our main character's mother back. That sounds wrong, but it sounds right. I have no idea. This has been all over Twitter and some Facebook groups that I've been in over the last 8-9 months, and I was meaning to pick it up this year, but I just wasn't able to. I'm really hoping that I'm able to pick this up soon. I know that the second book comes out in June, so I might try to pick this book up in May, and then so that I can read the second book when it comes out in June. I'm not sure how big of a series is going to be, but the second book comes out in June. Next we have The Daughter of the Burning City by Amanda Foody, and this I know nothing about except something to do with a carnival or circus or something like that, I think. I'm not sure. All I know is I loved the Shadow Game series by Amanda Foody, which I read between 2019 and then 2020, and I want to catch up on her books, which the only book of hers that I haven't read is The Daughter of the Running City. So, next we had The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, and all I know about this is a book that I keep on seeing on Book Talk, so Book TikTok. All I know is that it's a Greek mythology thing, like historical fiction following Achilles, and that is literally all I know. It's a MLM book, and that it will make me cry. That's all I know. I literally didn't read the description of it until I had to look it up to make the description to this video, which again, all of these books will be mentioned will be like in the description in the order I mentioned them. But I had no idea what The Song of Achilles was about until like 3 days ago, and even then I forgot the description because I kind of want to go in blind. Next we have Scavenge the Stars by Tara Sim, and all I know about this and all I remember from the description is that it is meant to be a Count of Monte Cristo gender bend retelling. And I didn't find that out until again a couple days when I was looking at the description. I follow Tara Sim on Twitter and have seen her mention it multiple times. The cover is beautiful. I loved Tara Sim's Timekeeper trilogy, so I'm excited to pick this up and continue on with her work. Another book that I'd like to read in 2021 is Aurora Rising by Amy Kauffman and Jay Kristoff. This is a sci-fi where we follow a crew of newly graduated cadets having to go on a mission through space. I don't know much more than that. That we have like this like ragtag crew of characters. I have really high hopes for this because I've heard such great things, but then I'm not going to go in with too high of hopes because I had such high hopes for Illuminae by Amy Kauffman and Jay Kristoff, and I DNF'd that, so I'm really hoping going into Aurora Rising, that's a tongue twister for me, that I will enjoy it. Another series that I'd love to read in 2021 is The Red Pyramid, which is the first book in the Kane Chronicles by Riordan. All I know is that we follow siblings Carter and Sadie Kane, and that it's Greek mythology. That is all I know. I am really going to try to finish like reading all the books in like the Riordan verse in 2021 because I wanted to try to read multiple of them, like try to read as many series as possible in 2020, but I only managed to read The Heroes of Olympus. So the Kane Chronicles, would like to read that. Would also love to read the Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard series by Rick Riordan, the first book being The Sword of Summer. All I know is that we follow a Norse demigod named Magnus Chase, and that is literally all I know. And then I would also like to read by Rick Riordan the Trials of Apollo series, first book being The Hidden Oracle, and all I know about this is that we follow the god Apollo as he's been punished and turned human and ends up at Camp Half-Blood. That is literally all I know. The probably #1 series that I want to get done in 2021 is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. We follow a girl who ends up, something to do with her brother ends up happening, and that she takes a punishment for him that leads her to like a academy of some sort where she meets people, and I don't know I literally don't know, because I want to know nothing going into it, because I just, like, I have a feeling this will be like a 5-star series read. Like, I'm so excited to read this. I'll probably start reading it in January or February. Like, honestly, I'm so excited. I'm also excited to read Renegades by Marissa Meyer, and all I know is that we follow 2 characters, Adrian and Nova, and it's like a superhero kind of like morally gray, everyone's morally gray type series. I loved the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer, so I'm hoping that I'll like Renegades. And another series, all of these I'm so excited for, but Caraval by Stephanie Garber. All I know is that there's something to do with like carnival where there are these twin sisters that one of them ends up somehow getting involved with this carnival. And that's literally all I know. Again, I know like nothing about half these, of like almost all of these books. I know nothing, but I like to go into my books knowing the bare minimum as possible. Cinderella is Dead by Kalynn Bayron, and this is a kind of 200 years after Cinderella has died. We follow a girl, I can't remember her name, and every year there is this ball where you're supposed to find your like lifetime partner, and our main character doesn't want that. She just wants to run away with her best friend, and that's what happens. That's what I know. Next is Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. The second Jay Kristoff book on this list. I just realized that. Nevernight, I know that we follow, I believe, like an assassin named Mia who attends an assassin school, at least in the first book. And that's it. This is an adult series, but I've heard it's an adult series that reads a bit more YA, I think. But I've heard that this series is great. Like, I've heard that it's a great high fantasy, especially for those who are just beginning to enter like adult high fantasy, which is me. I've only ever read one adult high fantasy, I think, yeah, and that would have been Crescent City. Yeah, so like I'm not that, like, I'm very new to the adult high fantasy, and so yeah. Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha. I know I'm gonna butcher her last name, so I'm not going to say it because I do not want to butcher it. I will learn how to say it before I read the book, but all I know is that every year 8 girls are chosen as paper girls for the king, and this year there is a 9th who is our main character, and literally that's all I know. I know that there are some like trigger warnings for some things. I'm not sure what, but I will obviously look into those trigger warnings before I read the book, even though nothing really triggers me, but still keep that in mind. I've heard that there are some trigger warnings. The Shadow Between Us by Tricia Levenseller. This, when I say I know nothing, I mean I know nothing, except that it's a standalone fantasy, and that we follow a girl who marries a king, and her original goal is to marry the king and kill the king, but she ends up falling in love with the king, I think. I could be totally wrong, but I think that's what this is about. It's a short, standalone fantasy, so I feel like if I ever just want to like read a quick book, this would be perfect. On the other hand, this next book I feel like would not be a quick read for me, and that would be Mistborn: The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. I have heard such good things about this that I want to read it. It is a high adult fantasy where I believe some people in the world can ingest metals, and they are called, I think, Alamancers or something like that. And then there are other people who are very rare who can ingest all metals, and they are called Mistborn. And when I say that is all I know, that is all I know. I literally only know about the magic system, which is that, and that's it. I'm very nervous to read The Final Empire because it is one of the books in the greater Cosmere by Brandon Sanderson, which the Cosmere terrifies me because there are so many books, and it just scares me. But we might tackle some of those books in 2021. I don't know. Now on to 3 contemporaries that I want to read. Well, it's 3/5 because one of them is a series. But the first one being Stay Gold by Topley McSmith. We follow a boy named Pony who enters a new high school for his senior year. His only goal is to slide under the radar. And then we follow a girl named Georgia who is a cheerleader who has put like a romance ban on her final year. But when Pony and Georgia meet, possibly both their plans goes off the rails. I know much more about contemporary books than fantasy books, as you can tell. Another book that I'd love to get read in 2021, like I was trying to read this in 2020, but at the rate I'm reading, I have a bunch of other books that I have to prioritize as arcs, so I won't be able to read this book this year, but I am going to read it next year. I promised myself. I'm getting this on camera. If I don't read this book next year, I'll figure out a punishment. But that is Camp by L.C. Rosen, and this we follow a boy named Randy who attends this queer summer camp, and he is interested in this boy named Hudson, but Hudson is only into more masculine presenting guys, and Randy is much more like not that. So Randy goes to camp acting differently, and that's what I know. I'm pretty sure I heard the word queer summer camp and just went, I don't care what it's about, I'll read it. But yeah. And then the final books that I'd like to get read in 2021, there are so many to the point that when I was first making this list, there was probably over 50 books. That's why I had to cut out books that were being released next year, because there's probably 21 books that are being released in 2021 that I want to read. So the final books that I wouldn't mind reading in 2021, these ones, if I don't get read, I'm not going to be mad at myself, is The Foxhole Court by Nora Sakovic. I'm sorry if I butchered that last name, but I know nothing about this series, but I've heard it's good. So yeah, all I know is we follow a guy that gets into this like sports team, this like very high notable sports team, but he is also the runaway son of a like crime lord. That's something that I'm not interested in, but I've heard pretty decent things about this. I've heard negative things, but I've also heard good things, so I'm going off of the good things. So like, if I don't end up liking this, I won't be too mad, but like, it's one that I'd like to get read next year, because these are, at least the first one's a short book, it's less than 250 pages, so I feel like that's something that would be a quick read to get like my reading count up if I needed like if I was like falling behind on my reading goal or something. So yeah, those are 21 asterisks because a lot of them are series and there's like multiple books in the series, but those are the 21 books that I'd like to, books/series that I'd like to read in 2021, and I guess we'll just have to see how that goes. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye!